Hello and welcome back to my Planet Coaster Let's Play series. We're already at episode number 4 and today it's finally time to build our very first attraction, and a roller coaster no less. As I discussed in the previous episode, I wanted to go with some wooden structure. I was for a minute still thinking about adding a RMC one, like a Steel Vengeance, that kind of type of coaster, but I don't know, I kind of felt like a GCI Woody. So that's what I'm building here, as you can see. I am also kind of trying to use a different style of editor, or not editor, editing. I noticed that for some places the time lapse, or at least the speed of the time lapse, was too fast, and for others it was too slow in the last episode. So right now I'm trying to handpick the moments which need to be faster or slower. So in that way I am trying to have a lot more of a more responsive, I guess you could say, video. Anyway, so that's what you're gonna see a lot of. It's gonna be a lot of sometimes very fast, then very slow, some pieces even real time. But enough for the editing. Right now, as you can see, I'm building the coaster. This is actually the first revision. I later in the video go back and delete about half the coaster again. But the first half I was really happy with already, so I left that. I was actually going really for a style of I guess Troy at Dutch amusement park Toverland. It starts roughly the same, and it's a GCI wooden roller coaster. I was also really focusing on the transitions, since normally GCI coasters kind of have those weird transition, I want to call them. Like they look like they are not comfortable to ride at all, and often they aren't what you would call comfortable actually, but they really do give you good lateral and vertical forces. It's, I don't know, I really love riding GCI wooden roller coasters, so I was really trying to recreate this, and I must say I myself think that it's really worked out. So here I've got the POV of the first revision, largely not smooth yet. So as you can see, this is the first part, and from about here I'm gonna have to sadly remove everything. Also, I didn't really like the layout, but there's also another big reason coming up in a minute. So here you can see I really haven't gone over it with smoothing. I am building this in a 4 meter smoothing technique. It just doesn't really look all that good when you haven't smoothed it yet. So as you can see, as we hit the final brake run, that was the layout. And then I started on the station building when I actually noticed the mistake I've made. And that's that a lot, if not all, GCI wooden roller coasters actually have a station flyby. Which means that the coaster track is actually going through the station, often a little bit elevated. And it gives this really nice interaction when you're standing in queue and there's this roller coaster suddenly rushing by. Or when you're riding in a roller coaster and suddenly you're inside the station building again. And I really wanted to incorporate that. I actually already wanted to incorporate it before I started building, but then I suddenly realized it, oh shit, I've forgotten it. And that connected with, the layout not being really all that great, I decided on rebuilding a large part of the roller coaster. Actually, right now I'm building up the little ground on which this flyby is gonna be. So over that little area I want to make the roller coaster. As you can see here, I'm starting on the second revision of the coaster. After I've deleted, well, about half the layout, I was actually changing the design up for it to first go in instead of stay out, but then just swoop around, go outside again, and after that make like a 180-degree turn towards the station to do that coaster flyby. I actually really like the way it turned out. I achieved it by first making like a really rough, really shitty turn to the station, and then from the track I had laid in the station, build up the turn, which actually achieved like a little airtime hill which is sideways, which is normally found more often on RMC coasters, but still it worked out really well in this instance. And now I'm just doing one final turn back to the station, and then well, the coaster is actually complete again. But as you can see here, I'm now going over it with the smooth tool. Don't worry, I am not gonna bore you with showing everything. I'm just showing you the start of the first two revisions. As you can see, here's the second revision. I actually did 3 times the entire track, but as you can see now, I've got a flyby on a smooth coaster, though not completely. There's still 2 little spots I want to go over with off screen. Like I'm not quite agreeing to how smooth it is yet, but at the very least, here we are. I'm now actually starting to, well, finish is a really big word. I'm not finishing any buildings today, or I actually am, but just not the station building. But I was trying to like make a little bit of a concept of what I want, because I really want to have like this big throne room feeling. Because, well, actually, I haven't even told you what the theme is. I wanted to make this park a fairy tale park. I also said that in the last episode. And so I went online and looked at a lot of legends and looked at like, what is something you can build a thrill ride around. And I actually landed on the medieval epic story, or epic poem actually, of Beowulf. It's an old English poem. And it's about the character Beowulf, and he goes slaying some fantasy beasts and then fighting a dragon and actually losing to it, but that's not the point. So I am actually going for a medieval style. I'm going for like castles, a medieval village, and maybe I'll put some other rides in. Oh, and also here, I really wanted to use the Gci Supports. They aren't actually in-game, but you can quite effectively make them yourself, just using like the in-game pieces. So that took a lot of time, and I only did 2 turns in this episode. There's gonna be a lot more work of this. But I at least, by the second turn, I figured out like kind of a way to do this, because this first turn you're seeing right now, it took absolutely ages. This is sped up 10 times at the moment. So yeah, you can kind of imagine already this part takes about 2 minutes. So it's just 20 minutes to just only decorate one little turn in this coaster. It's just so much work. Or at least, not actually so much work, I just really didn't have an efficient way of doing it yet. You can see by the second turn, which is coming up a little bit later, not immediately, that it goes a lot faster and I have a lot more of a rhythm. But as you can see here, it really turned out quite nice, possibly even better than I expected. However, what I did notice that in the second turn, the one I'll be making in a minute, I kind of made a mistake because, well, the path is way too close. I am not possibly gonna make supports when the path is just hugging the coaster. So I deleted the path, and I come back to that a little bit later as well. I get so many things done in this episode, I love it. But first of all, I wanted to actually add a touch of realism, and that is that GCI wooden coasters, when the coaster dives beneath itself, the wooden structure isn't enough to hold it up. So often you will see like this they make the structure stronger by adding steel beams, and I'm adding those right now. So yeah, this was just like a few minutes of work, but again, I really wanted to make a like I really want to put in these kind of details. But as you can see now, I'm actually gonna start with the fun part. So as I said, it's gonna be themed around medieval England. And well, what screams like medieval England more than like castles? And to make a nice entrance to a castle, you of course need, well, a drawbridge and a gatehouse. So that was what I was gonna go after. Like I really wanted to make a nice little gatehouse you had to walk through to get into this area. So actually what I did was I looked up on Google Images like gatehouses, and I found like a really sweet miniature of one, and I largely rebuilt that, added some little more fantasy touches and like added some little things, but the main structure is actually of like a little gatehouse I found online. So well, this is just gonna take a while, just me building for a long time. So I was also I wanted to address another thing, and that's that these episodes are quite long. This episode right now is around 2 minutes and 2 minutes, what I'm saying, 19 minutes. I don't know how I got to the 2, but 19 minutes and around 20 seconds, I think. And that's, well, it's long, isn't it? It really is. It's also just so much to talk through. Like I'm recording this now in one session. I might go back because I made some errors. I made some mispronunciations and such. But yeah, it's a long time to fill. So I'm actually curious. I'm gonna put up a poll right now, and I'm gonna ask you: is this the correct length of an episode, or do you want to make them like have them a little bit shorter? Because even though I do get a lot of things done in this episode right now, and I do love that, I really, this is exactly the type of thing I wanted to do when I started this channel. I mean, it is just a little bit too long of an episode, isn't it? It also just takes ages to render. Oh, actually, like quickly swooping back to the build, I wanted to make like a little hidden area underneath those stairs. So actually I'm gonna put like a different color of light under there, and I'm gonna put some little treasure chests, and it's gonna be like all sort of those things. It's gonna make it like a little bit more fantasy style. Also, another thing I should ask you, what do you think of the logo? Like, I've made the logo, and, well, basically, yeah, what do you think of it? Like, do you agree with how I made it? Do you think I could do something else? Maybe any better ideas? I mean, I'd love to hear that, because really, this was just something I put together in, like, maybe 10-15 minutes. So here I am putting in the lighting. It's actually well, it was quite easy. It's just as I said, I wanted to make like a different kind of lighting underneath that little thing. Oh no. So here I am actually having trouble with the path again. Oh my god, they were like, I got out a large portion of me trying to build the path. But now actually it's finally time to build the drawbridge. Like the thing I actually built this little gatehouse for. You know, like, what's a gatehouse without a drawbridge? And why would I even like make a moat? So it's actually time now to make the little drawbridge. I connected it up with chains. And actually you might say like, why would you add a drawbridge when like you can just walk right out of the area on the other side? Like if you just follow the path, you can just walk right into another area. Yeah, it's like a really nice thing to just have like a little moat, because it gives like the feeling of I'm entering an area now, without that moat being actually useful, because well it ends like 20 meters down the line. The same goes with the wall I'm constructing right now. Like it ends right there. It's just only to give you the feeling of like, okay, this is a big deal, like there's a wall and there's like things. Also, I felt like this area was like a little bit empty, so I decided to add like a boat and like hook it up. And then it's actually finally time for me to make the second turn. As you can see, I have like a lot better of a rhythm, a lot better of a method, doing multiple things at once. This took like half the time of the first turn. It was quite comical actually, even though this is actually a bigger turn. It's the coaster turns more degrees, and actually it's also a bit higher off the ground, so there is more support work. But yeah, as you can see, it really didn't take as long as a time as the previous one. So I am actually really happy with how this turned out. So lastly, of course, adding the footers. And then it's actually time for me to do the path work. So when you enter the village, I wanted to have like a nice little welcoming square with some trees and things, and you're gonna see me build this. We're also really close to the end of the video now. So this is one of the two last things I do. Very last thing is I'm gonna make the head chopper I was talking to you about a little bit earlier, but as you can see, like a little thing. Oh wait, no, okay. I completely forgot, of course. I connected up the exit of the coaster, made the steel beams, and that added some hard things, because if you have a path going underneath your coaster, people riding the ride can actually drop things which can hurt the guest on the path. And since I kind of want to make this quite realistic, I was adding some nettings, and then, you know, like with the fences, and then I decided, well, I don't really like it that way. So as you can see right now, I'm making like a whole frame, and I'm gonna hang it up from the coaster on the chains I also use for the drawbridge, so that it still gives like this medieval vibe, even though it is just like one of those things generally they kind of break the theming, but like I really want to focus on these little things, these little small touches that both add realism and add to the theme. I really don't want to like break the guest if you're walking through those areas. I really want you to not ever go out. But as you can see, here I'm making the head chopper. It's just a little tower with a little bridge that will connect up to the rest of the castle, which I will be building in the next episode. If you have enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a like and possibly even subscribe to the channel, because more episodes are gonna come out pretty soon. Also check out the previous episode if you've missed those, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.